Warning: this stream is rated for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode ever of our brand new podcast, RCADE Nostalgia Memories Podcast. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. We are so excited to get this going for you here. And to my right, the eminent, the tall tonight. He's very tall. The top of his head looks a little green, but he's with us, and that is Rob, also known as Legion Cage. Hello, Rob. How you doing?
Hello. I am doing real good this evening. Mostly.
Mostly. And
Mostly.
on the other side of Rob is our first guest for the RCADE podcast experience, the beautiful, the awesome, the fantastic Angle Doom, aka Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm really honored to be here tonight.
It's my pleasure, my pleasure. All right, so to kick things off, basically, we'll give you a little description here. RCADE is a podcast about gamers and their favorite games, essentially, and more specifically, why they are that gamer's favorite games and the influence that that game had on them over their lifetimes. A little info about the games itself, and then we just dive right into it and say, what is it that makes this game so important to that person? And I got this idea for this podcast basically by looking at some of the podcasts that were out there regarding games. There's tons of podcasts for gaming reviews. There's tons of podcasts for just taking a look and seeing, gaming news, what's happening in the marketplace, the new things that are coming out. There's even podcasts on the retro side for, talking about specific games from the past that they really were, seeing like how it did in the marketplace and what kind of reception it had when it hit the market, and gameplay and all of that stuff. But I really didn't see anything out there that had to do with these are the memories that that game invokes, and this is why it's so nostalgic for that particular gamer, or anyone in general. Like for instance, when I talk about like Super Mario Brothers, I'll often mention that when I was growing up, I was only allowed 1 hour per day to play video games. So trying to beat Super Mario Brothers 1 on my old NES in an hour, and that wasn't happening because I just wasn't that good enough. And but that's the nostalgia that was there for me, sitting on the living room floor with the Nintendo between me and the TV because the cords didn't quite reach all the way back to the couch, and just trying to beat that game in an hour. So the nostalgia aspect of it is what I'm really interested in, and of course watching Mike play Black Tiger and knowing that's his favorite game, that really brought that question to me: why is it so nostalgic for you? And he's shared in the past on his stream a couple of memories regarding that, especially with his dad. But we're going to dive in a little bit deeper like that. And we're going to be doing this about once every 2 weeks with a different guest every time. I have planned about 14 episodes in the first season, taking us through the end of May next year. And we'll just see where it goes, So if you have any questions, of course, go ahead and put them in the chat. If you are listening to this on the actual podcast, you want to join us if you get a chance for the video segment where the podcast is done live on my channel, which is twitch.tv/EBC2021. We do the podcast live, and then I go through the editing process, chop it all up, and we post the audio wherever podcasts are found. I know for a fact it is on Spotify right now, and potentially some other things. But it's a slow process actually getting the podcast listed once everything is created. So even if you do not get the chance to watch the podcast recording live on my Twitch channel, you can always go back and either watch the video on demand or listen to the podcast wherever you find podcasts. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it here. So we've got Black Tiger is Mike's favorite game, released on August 1st, 1987. Let me bring up my notes here. There really wasn't a lot of versions of this game. Mike was obviously very familiar with the arcade version of it, the actual upright cabinet that, what was it, a bowling alley, you said?
Bowling alley, and subsequently my dad's bar as well. So it was just right across the street, literally.
Right. So, but you were very familiar with the arcade cabinet that was released by Capcom in 1987. After that, it came to Europe, mostly, a few other locations around the world. Produced by US Gold Limited. It was still obviously created by Capcom, but US Gold Limited did a mainly European release on the Amiga, Amstrad CPC, Atari ST, Commodore 64, and ZX Spectrum in 1990, late 1989. An emulator was created by Capcom and put into the Capcom Classics collection for PlayStation 2 and Xbox in 2005. Then the next year in 2006, the Capcom Classics collection remixed for the PSP, and even though it wasn't released for it, you were able to do that also with the PlayStation Vita. In 2010, the Wii Virtual Console, and in 2013, the Capcom Arcade Cabinet for PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Arcade. So, aside from that, as far as I could tell, there really wasn't that many ports of the game. So, at least here in the U.S., you had kind of limited chances to play it if you weren't looking in the right places, and maybe it wasn't something that was probably something that a lot of people knew, because unless they played the arcade cabinet back in 87, 88, 89, and into the early 90s, they may not have even known what it was until they maybe saw it on the Capcom Classics collection or something like that, and said, hey, maybe I'll check this out. So, but aside from that, there wasn't a lot of ports. So now we'll do this approximate period in history, this day, this week in history or so, and Cage is going to cover that.
Yeah, thank you, Scotty. So I guess kind of let me take you guys back, all right, a little bit. It's Saturday, August 1st, 1987. Some of you might not even have been born yet, but Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States during that time. Bob Seger, his song Shakedown, just took the #1 spot on the charts away from Hearts Alone, which dropped to #3. U2's I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For moves up to that #2 spot. And George Michael's I Want Your Sex and Gloria Estefan's Rhythm Is Gonna Get You round out the top 5 on your charts in the United States. Bananarama, I apologize if I pronounce this name incorrectly, but Siobhan Fahey would actually marry the Eurythmics' Dave Stewart on this day. Mike Tyson defeated Tony Tucker to become the undisputed heavyweight boxing champion of the world by being the first to hold the WBA, WBC, and IBF championship belts simultaneously. Most importantly, we're a little over a week from my 3rd birthday on August 1st, 1987, and we're a couple short weeks away from the North American release of The Legend of Zelda and Castlevania 2 on the NES. But we are here to talk about Black Tiger. Releasing in the arcade on August 1st, 1987. Black Tiger, and I saw that Isnib actually posted it in our chat there. It's interesting that it is Dragon in Japan, but Tiger everywhere else. Black Tiger is the American version of Japan's Black Dragon game because it was toned down for American audiences. Honestly, like a lot of games of the time, Japan thinking that Americans weren't really serious gamers and couldn't handle that challenge. So they toned it down, put it in the American arcades as Black Tiger. The arcade version did garner mostly positive reviews from publications such as Crash and Yours Sinclair, which I do apologize. I couldn't find out a lot of information about those publications, but I assume they were just kind of like generalized magazines. Now this one I did know, Commodore User was a magazine, and it actually received a total, like they just had positive reviews. Commodore User actually gave the game a 7 out of 10. Scotty did already mention this, but the game would receive home ports for the Amstrad CPC, Commodore Amiga, Atari ST, and ZX Spectrum in '89, and a release on Commodore 64 in 1990. There was also recently discovered screenshots of a planned port for the NES that never ended up seeing the light. So they did plan to expand this out a little bit more. It just never happened. Um, Scotty also mentioned that there were a couple re-releases, like in its pure arcade form, on newer consoles such as the PSP, the PlayStation 2, Xbox, Wii Shop, PlayStation Network, and Xbox Live Arcade. The Wii version, because it was released standalone as opposed to an actual like compilation, actually received review scores. It got a 7.5 out of 10 from IGN, a 6 out of 10 from Nintendo Life, giving it a 68% on Metacritic because those were the two scores that were submitted. In Japan, Game Machine, the cabinet was listed as being the number 6 most successful table arcade unit of that month. So it's not incredibly popular, as we kind of already alluded to. It definitely a kind of mid-pack game that was released, but it had a little bit of a following. Before we started, I kind of told this Doom, or Mike, sorry, I'm used to calling you Doom. Um, this game, Black Tiger, was actually referenced in Ernest Cline's Ready Player One novel as one of the games the hero has to play during challenges. The reason why that game was included is because it was also one of the author's favorite childhood arcade games. You and Ernest Cline share a favorite childhood arcade game, Mike. So I thought that was
when
pretty cool.
when Laura first read Ready Player One, she was like, "Don't you play a game where a guy has this like whip thing and like knives fly out and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's. You need to read this. You need to read this book."
Yeah, they included it. It did not make it into the movie version, but most people would say that's probably a good thing, honestly. Uh, but yeah, you share a favorite game with that author. The final thing of note I have for everyone as far as Black Tiger goes, Black Tiger is often compared and even by some to be the spiritual successor of Ghosts and Goblins, which is obviously a very, very famous series. Um, Due to its gameplay being fairly similar, not just in the way the character controls the armor, the upgrades on the weapons, and its sheer difficulty, but they actually share a common enemy. Um, I've never heard it being called this, but the Red Aramir, I think is how you pronounce it. It's the Red Demon, otherwise known as Firebrand,
Yeah.
is one of the enemies in the Black Tiger game. So a lot of people kind of consider it a spiritual successor to Ghosts and Goblins. But yeah, that's the information I have for you as far as Black Tiger goes.
Awesome. So then I didn't mention in the porting information because technically it is a separate game. Black Dragon, the Japanese version, which Mike has played on his channel, is much more difficult. It adds uh, falling rocks and harder enemies and just all sorts of yeah. And I find that interesting that was the reason why they kind of toned it down for the American audiences, because they thought the Americans weren't as hard of gamers. That kind of like, apparently they didn't know Mike back then, popping the quarters into the cabinets, and any other kid growing up in the 80s that did the exact same thing, spending the time, if they had the money and had the free time to go into those arcades and just plunk those quarters in and get their entertainment value. But yeah, so Black Dragon is quite a bit harder, but Mike has beat Black Tiger several times. A couple of deathless runs, if I'm not mistaken.
Not yet. Come
Not yet.
close.
Working on it.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
I,
One credit run I can pretty much nail. I think now. I think my next one now is just trying to go for a deathless one credit run, and then I'm still trying to like get a high score.
Right.
Like 1.4 million is the high.
Yeah. So, not too bad, not too bad. So, if you're listening on the podcast now and you'd like to see Mike's runs of Black Tiger or Black Dragon, his handle is twitch.tv/angle_doom, spelled INGLE_DUEM. And of course he's the best at Black Tiger that I know. Just about the only person I know that plays Black Tiger. But hey, you know,
For
uh,
now.
that's what it is for now.
There we go.
Yeah. But yeah, check him out, and it's sure to be entertaining for you. All right, we're gonna take a short break here, and then come back, and we're gonna be watching a recorded version of Mike's playthrough of Black Tiger, while he gives us a little more insight into the game itself, and then we'll go from there. All right, see you back here in just a few short minutes. Oh, there we go. Now my mic is off or on. I keep doing that. I gotta get a handle on that. Learn how to be more professional. Okay, so now we're going to be doing the playthrough of Black Tiger by Mike, and he's going to give us a little more insight on how the game is played. But before we do anything else, I got to do this. Long, long ago, 3 dragons descended from the skies above with rolling thunder and destroyed a kingdom into... Oh, no.
All right. So first thing, anytime in this game, always go to the left and get that hidden object. I mean, that's like your first $200 that you make on this game.
There are a lot, there's a lot of that kind of hidden stuff in this game, right?
It's definitely where you get your score mostly. You know, a lot of like score power-ups, armor power-ups, and at least 3 1-ups that I know of. And that's really been like clutch on doing a 1 credit run. Of course, taking less damage, of course, is always a good point. But knowing where at that time, I only knew where 1-up was. I've discovered 2 in my modern playthroughs that I didn't even know of. So at the time when I was playing as a kid, the only 1-up that I knew was in level 2. And at that time, I just had to make sure that in any playthrough that I had as a kid that I just didn't take any damage or just try to get through the level as fast as possible. And my strategy is when I was a kid and stuff like that is just like I didn't have very much money, so it was quite the opposite for me as how much money I could plop into this thing. So every time that I played, I would just keep on putting a quarter in, and I would play until I died. Wait for the 10 seconds to go up, not continue, and then do it over until I had those first couple of levels just nailed, and then just kind of keep on going subsequently. So the more I plopped in 1 quarter at a time, the more I was getting more playthrough. The more I knew those levels away. Now, unfortunately, that means kind of like the last 2 levels, I don't know very well at all because I would just kind of blast my way through.
Yeah.
At that time, especially when you get the final weapon. I mean, one of the gameplays, as you can see, is just collecting these keys and money because as you find these old guys, like the statues of the villagers and whatnot, a couple of them are merchants, and that's where you get your like armor upgrades and your weapon up. And you have to have so much money to get those weapon up. So if you're taking damage, you can kind of lose track of how much money you're actually spending on armor, just trying to get through a level when it's like, oh crap, no, I can't even upgrade. And anything I'm hitting right now is taking like no damage. And it's pretty much simple controls. It's just jump and attack. That's pretty much all there is to this. So it was 2 buttons and a joystick. So it was perfect. As you can see here with like the merchants here. And for me, being a smoker at the time, which, you know, I'm not going to say how old I was, but I was smoking cigarettes at the time, was perfect enough time to sit there for 30 seconds. I think I would waste most of my cigarettes at the time I was smoking, playing the same. Back in the day where you could still smoke inside.
Now, are the treasures in the treasure chests, are they static or are they random?
Random as heck. It's either going to be treasure or it's going to be a trap. Same thing with the urns. It's going to be a key, time, or a random character, like a random enemy.
Yeah, you see that fire shoot out of there every once in a while and start coming at you.
And you can always tell, too, as soon as you hit that treasure chest and you kind of hear this, like, it's... I can't explain the sound of it, but it gives you a tell before it's going to send a trap at you. That's why most of the times if I am trapped behind it, I can jump over the flares that come up. So it does kind of give you a bit of warning on that. So yeah, the levels are pretty linear. Each level has a dungeon in it, which is great because you can find still more hidden power-ups and/or it's a great place to get more money as well as like get your score. Again, I know where most of those are in the very beginning level. The last 2 levels are very much unexplored by. And then I'm hoping in my playthroughs itself, it's going to be where I'm going to make up that difference in score. As it now, right now, I think my high score is about I don't know if it's 800,000 or close to 800,000, but I'm going to have to bridge that gap of another 600,000 if I want to try to get to anywhere close to the high score that's actually marked on an emulator. The enemies are pretty much the same throughout the game, except, you know, if anybody's ever watched Grandma's Boy, you know, you just change the color of a sprite to make it more difficult. And with that being said, with the advancement of the weapons, if you don't have those advancements, yeah, they're going to knock your armor out quick and then knock out your vitality quicker. There are times that you feel like you can control the enemies, kind of like when you play Donkey Kong, how sometimes you feel like you can control the barrels from going from one end to the other. But that's totally false. I think I could do that, especially with like the spinny coins or with random enemies that are in my way for a jump. But yeah, it'll prove me wrong every time.
Yeah, currently I have you at your personal best of 725,150. And I think when I was watching your playthrough here, you got real close again, 703 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're thinking you can maximize your score by really, instead of running roughshod through the last 2 levels, you spend more time farming and building up the score in that.
Yeah, considering that I found 2 more 1-ups throughout levels in my modern playthrough that I've had as, you know, as my playthroughs as a kid. I guess taking the game more seriously than just, you know, something to do while I figure out what we're gonna do later. Yeah, I feel like there's probably other hidden objects within those dungeons, and of course, you know, opportunities to get a higher score within them. At least that's my hope.
Now, question for you, I would say, you know, as I've seen, and I'm sure that some people have one thought about it, some people have different thought about it. In modern times, you can have a save state, you know. Have you considered, or is that sacrilege to use a save state where you're at the beginning of level? I think you said there are 7 levels. I apologize if I forget that.
I couldn't really tell you right off the top of my head. I know there's 3 dragons, and there's at least 3 stages that gets up to each dragon. So stage 3 is the first dragon, stage 6 is the second dragon, so I'm going to say stage 9 is the third. Within like the second level of each one of them having like the armor you see twice with swords and the ability to use fire. No, I could use a save state now that I'm using MAME as an emulator to be able to play the game. But I guess for nostalgia reasons myself, I wanted to do it the same way I did it when I was, per credit.
Right.
Just do it that way per game.
And just
and
for the
again,
technical side, you are using an emulator. Are you typically using MAME 32 or RetroArch?
I'm typically using MAME 32. RetroArch does not like my X-Arcade joystick. When I'm
Okay.
playing my arcade games, I am actually using an X-Arcade joystick. Uh, I guess in that feel, if I'm going to be playing an arcade game, I want that feel of the actual arcade game. So yeah, I won't play an arcade game without a joystick. Unfortunately, I don't have a roller ball. I was kind of looking into that because it's something that you can add on to a stick later. Because I would love to play some Missile Command and actually play Centipede the correct way.
Yeah.
No, but MAME 32 is my go-to for any arcade game.
Yeah, I remember the X-Arcade. I remember seeing, 6 or 7 years ago, the cabinet they came out with that had all the games preloaded that you actually sit there at. And
Oh, yeah.
what was that, like $4,000, $5,000, something like that?
Oh yeah,
It was
it was like really, really expensive. I mean, it's really nice. It looked like one of those, like in the later days of the arcade when you had like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It had the pedestal like joysticks that you could hook up to like the big screen TV up in the front and everything else like that.
And I think it even had like some of that diamond plate, stainless steel plating on it to make it look real nice and shiny.
Real fancy, a little chrome plating out there to make it really decked out. Yeah, maybe my whole reason of even getting an X-Arcade joystick, and I got my first one. I have the 2-player joystick, and I got that the same year that we bought our house. It was in 2011. That next year, and I got it on sale. I kind of got it on of a weird discount where it was like they had sent me vendor's discount, which I got it for really cheap, and I was just like, hey, yeah, I think you might have made a mistake. I called them before I bought it, and it was just like, you sent me this offer and I've got it in my shopping cart and I'm willing to buy it right now. I'm just wanting to let you know before I did. And the guy in customer service was literally like, if it's in your cart, dude. So I did. And it came with like Smash TV and Robotron 2024, I think that is. But yeah, I originally just wanted to build my own. Just load up an old computer and build my cabinet so I could Tiger. Most.
And how much was the X-Arcade joystick? Do you remember?
The double I end up paying $89 for. The single that I use while I stream, I end up paying $59.99. Again, I got that as
that's not too bad.
As a special offer. Yeah, so I jumped on. And I don't think they even sell the single anymore.
Really?
Which is unfortunate because it's a really, really good joystick. In my opinion. I mean, I've had it for almost 10 years now, and it still does me well. I mean, it sticks a little bit to the right. You'll see me complain about that every so often on my stream. Like, damn it. So one of these times I'm actually going to have to pop it open and clean it out.
Well, it's probably gotten many years of use out of it. Good use.
Definitely. No, I mean, before I've even got the adapters to where I can, I fool the computer into thinking it's an Xbox controller. So I could use and play modern fighting.
Nice.
I'm not good at them, but I like playing. But back in the day, it was like the Street Fighter was definitely like the go-to game that I enjoyed. That was a lot of fun.
Now, I remember seeing you do this level quite a few times, and I thought, boy, this looks a lot like a platformer now.
I know, and this is where like most of the platforming is. The later levels, especially too, because there's some really impossible jumps. But this one in particular, because it has so many pillars. I mean, it's the one where you get really familiar with the jump button, especially going from pillar to pillar. And I think that was like one of the things about it. Like I was a big fan of Castlevania. And of course, I loved Ghosts and Goblins. Ghosts and Goblins was probably the one game that like, just sunk me into like arcade games. Just loving arcade. I spent some time in front of that cabinet a lot. Definitely with my NES playing Ghosts and Goblins. So playing this was like, wow, this is like Castlevania meets Ghosts and Goblins, and there's merchants, and you can actually, if you do it right, you could probably get farther, because you buy armor and blah. yeah, I fell in love with this game, hook, line, and sinker.
You
Well,
can
and
definitely tell that you've played it quite a bit just because watching the gameplay, I can see where you hesitate because you know an enemy's about to pop up right there.
yeah.
So,
I have many playthroughs, especially through these first 3 levels, to get to the first dragon.
So I'm like the back of your hand.
Pretty much. Like I said, it was until like level 4 was when I recently just found another one up, and I think I just exploded on stream. It's like, did you all just see that? I've never found that thing before.
Well, and it's a thing. I mean, especially probably, with the last 2 levels and these other, closer to the end that you may not have seen nearly as much, and you can't predict their movements quite as well. You're still going to be coming across new things and going, oh, I didn't, especially if you come across it by accident, you never, it's in a place you never expected it to be, or you're just, trying to find something and you come across something completely unrelated to what you were looking for. I've done that in a couple of games, especially like playing Batman more recently, and saying, oh, this is not what I thought it was, and then you have to readjust how
Right.
you play and take that into account.
Oh yeah, the mild RPG elements for sure. And in this playthrough right here, you kind of had me warbling whether or not, because I knew I have enough to go and buy the next weapon to take on the dragon. So I'm like, I kept on running into time power ups and shit like that. So I'm just like, the hell with it. Just go down there and just get the new weapon. You've got plenty of time. Just don't take a bunch of damage. And I didn't. If I did buy the upgrade, I wasn't going to have enough to buy armor. So
Now
right now, I'm just kind of cursing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. So this is where it seems like Black Tiger differentiates itself from quite a few of the other arcade platformers at the time, which was you didn't necessarily have like this aspect of the shop where you can upgrade weapons and things like that. It was just something that you maybe came across, as opposed to saying, okay, you're collecting all this money and now you have to make the decision as to what you spend that money on. Do you want to,
Exactly.
do it on, weapons or armor upgrade or, health or something like that? And that didn't exist in most of the other platformers at the time, where basically you can't go back. You're just on a one-way track moving forward, and you just get whatever comes along in your path. This added the option of actually going back to farm more or whatever you wanted to do, and that I think makes it a lot more distinct and sets it apart from quite a few of the other arcade cabinet games of the time.
yeah. So real quick, we have a question from the live chat. So is the weapon upgrade more important than the armor upgrades, would you say?
Yes. Yes, it is, because you can either find other weapon or other armor upgrades either in hidden objects, or you can find it later on. In fact, it's like if you know you can make it, like you see your fatality bar up there. That actually will take 2 hits out of that 3. So if I know if I needed to get the upgraded weapon, as I think I just did right there, I bought the upgraded weapon, but I'm only got 2 armor. I know later on that there's another vendor at the bottom. Since I've already got the weapon, I can collect as much money as I want right now, and I know I can get the armor upgrade before I end up hitting the... So everything at that point is gravy because I have that weapon. Now, going up to the next level is an opportunity to get a lot of cash, and the next coming levels even food. So this is the second to the last weapon upgrade in itself before you get to your end game weapon. And I still won't even get that for another 2 levels, So yeah, getting that money to get to that next weapon upgrade is key. Everything else past that is just whatever. Because if you don't have that weapon upgrade, it's going to take you just that many, like twice as many hits to take out those enemies. Now here's coming up here close is I don't remember if I take him out first and then I go up for the 1-up. This is the new one up that I had found just recently. And I've been just so happy about it.
Would you say that, so looking in the shop, I believe it was just under 5,000 Zenny for the weapon you have currently. And then the like end game weapon, the final weapon, that one was almost 13,000. That's quite a bit of a jump. Would you
Almost
say
double.
that it's worth worth every penny to get that final weapon?
Yeah.
Because it is so much.
There is a time where it's this level afterwards, which I don't know what the actual level is called. I call it the Siege Castle, because at the end you have the Armored Dragon, but there's just so many enemies and so many things coming at you at once as you're trying to get through this castle. I will go ahead and buy armor to get to the end of that, because I know I'm going to get more money towards the end of that level, and the level after that is just going to be just pure any of the enemies that I'm going to.
Nice.
So with that level, I just want to get through it.
Okay. Another. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say it. So we had another question in our live chat. He said, what would you do if someone was playing the game? Would you wait or play another game in the meantime?
I'd wait, because I want to see what their score was.
Yeah. I bet you yours is better.
There wasn't a time that I didn't have the first spot on that game, and not just talking shit about that either. That's actually true, and I'm sorry about the cursing. I watch my mouth, and I'm sorry.
Quit cussing, damn it.
But no, it was a time, even as being a kid, though, there was an adult who was playing like on Monte Carlo night up at the bowling alley. And I would crush his score every time, and he would get further than me. And that was the thing. It's the only thing is I knew where the hidden objects are. I mean, by this level, I've already got 200,000, and there's because it's an octopus that I find in this level that literally will double my score from like 100 some odd thousand to 235,000. If I can get this far, I was guaranteed to get first place as from the top 10. And finally, when the guy found me and when I was playing, it was one night where they usually closed it on Monte Carlo nights for the adults, so they could drink and whatnot, But I think I was up there just finishing up the game before they started, and the guy came in. He's like, "It's you. You're the kid that keeps on beating my score." So he literally sat there for like about 30 minutes or so, just watched me. He's just like, I showed him where a few hidden objects were, and he was like, "Oh, okay." So we had a little rivalry there for a bit, which was a lot of fun.
We did have a little arcade in the country store close to where, within walking distance of where I lived when I was growing up, and I would go up there occasionally, but I rarely had the money. So it was like, scrimp and save the quarters, and then, maybe go up there for a good hour or so. But when I did, I was kind of like that with off-road. I eventually got really good at off-road, and there was the lady that manned the shop, and she's like, my husband plays that off-road game. And I said, "Oh, what's his name on the score list?" And she said, what it was, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's second." I'm like, he's like, yeah. She said, "Yeah, he's gotten pissed, coming in there seeing you beating him all the time." But that was kind of short-lived, too. I wasn't, like, going in there all the time and, trying to rack up those scores and learn the gameplay like you were.
Yeah. There was the Firebrand character that Mike just defeated on the...
The little gargoyle, yeah. It's a level 3 boss. And then literally the next stage, this one right here, he becomes just a character. And they just start throwing him at you. This level, to me, is probably one of the most difficult levels to get through. Especially as a kid. I was scared of this level. I just want to get through this level as fast as possible. And I still kind of have that. And you can kind of tell in my playthrough, I'm just now getting to the point where I'm slowing it down a little bit and taking it a little bit more careful.
So they did have some of the rock drops in Black Tiger.
This one, and this one especially, this level especially is where it was really infamous. And now the thing going through Black Dragon is now finding those new rocks, and they come. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that was exclusive to Black Dragon, but no. Yeah, apparently they just have more of them.
Yeah, no, lots more. And those are one-shot kills half the time. I don't care what your armor level is. If that
Wow.
rock hits you just right, it'll just kill you.
Hmm. So the main the
I'm
really
to the
good
point
armor
now
is
in
the 2400 one.
yeah, and that gives you 8 hits. You can see the little numbers down at the bottom where you can see like the number of keys I have, the
Ah,
weapon
gotcha.
level, which
Yeah.
is 4, and then the armor level. See, I had 6 right there because that spinny coin, which is another, just undefeatable enemy, took me from 6 to 2 within just one hit.
Right. And now it's waiting for you.
Yeah, because it knows.
I also wanted to ask you the wise men that you're basically saving here. Yeah, at least that's how the storyline came off to me a little bit. Was like it was these villagers or wise men that had been taken hostage or something, and they were kind of frozen in stone. And when you go to save them and release them, my question was, is it random when they have a shop, and you don't know which ones they're going to have a shop?
No, I know pretty much which ones have a shop and which ones have either coins and or. And then just a few of them that are just like, hey, will give me advice. Like, hey,
Right.
you should look for hidden objects or whatever have you.
And you're like,
Um,
I've been playing this for 25 years. I know, dude.
but yeah. But no, it's just like with this one, but I still get kind of confused. I always think this guy's the merchant, but he's not. I think he gives me time, which I know down at the bottom here is the gentleman because there's another one down here. He's the merchant. And I didn't mean to hit. Yeah, see? Right there, you see me just get pissed off because I didn't want to hit him. I wanted to hit him on the outside. I knew the time was down there. It's like I didn't want to blow the money. I wanted to go through the dungeon first. So yeah, you just see me just like, God damn it. Yeah, and what I want to mention too here is this is so much so far has been a deathless run. I've been so happy with this run going through it. Like you can see the concern in my eye at this point because already this level has me pissed scared.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
And
Then
it's
we're
just like,
we're gonna take a short break then, and we're gonna come back for the moment at which it becomes not a deathless run, unfortunately, and and we'll go from there. So we're gonna take a short break. I'm gonna pause that right exactly like it is now. We're gonna come back to that, and we'll see you here in just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to pick up where we left off here. There we go. So unfortunately, this was not a deathless run for you.
oh, it wasn't. I was damn close though. No, I'll point out you can tell when it becomes not that corner there. That poor guy up there is about in for it. But I mean, I had so much fun with this playthrough. It was one of those times it was like I knew I had to sit down and do it because he had asked me to, and I had just probably about enough time in that afternoon to sit down and do it. I was like, I can do one run as long as I can get a credit run out of it, I'll be happy. It came to be about this far where I'm like, I'm really close. We could do this as long as I don't mess up. But I've already messed up a couple of times. That's why I've got the. That's why I got the warbles right there.
You shake your head, yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of the anxiety going and like, no, this ain't going good. It doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Random super buff dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got a couple questions in chat there. Is the character actually have a name? Is there a lore? Does the character have a name, or is it literally just random super buff dude?
No, I actually have the marquee right there as my backdrop as I'm playing. His name is Black Tiger. He is a legendary hero.
Oh, okay. He is Black Tiger. So does that mean in the Japanese version he's Black Dragon?
That is correct.
Nice. There you go. Another question: what do you think your record is for time spent on the game in one session, if you had to guess?
And like,
I would say guess for one time in the arcade, and one time playing like here on an emulator.
okay. Definitely as a kid, I would say by about I knew I'd at least be there for at least 45 minutes. That was kind of the cool thing about it, and that's kind of because with like the whole nostalgia factor, like that. It was my escape for 45 minutes. It's where I felt not like useless or shitty. I felt like I was good at something. For 45 minutes, I could sit there in front of this machine and I felt good. So I would say at most time, I mean, when I was a kid and stuff like that, I would maybe spend maybe $1, $2 just kind of playing it at a time. And that was probably maybe per week. Or if I had like some money to sit down and play it when I was right. So I didn't really have like long stretches where I would play it like hours at a time, like in a like. So I'd say probably about 45 minutes to an hour per session as I was playing near. Here, as modern, especially with like streaming, I think I've played this for like up to upwards of 3 or 4 hours at a time, just kind of playing to get it through if I made it through or not. Or especially with Black Dragon, trying to get that to go through. I can actually sit down and play that for a lot more hours at a time than I ever could as a kid. For one, it doesn't cost me anything.
Just the time, right?
Right.
So we've got about 20 minutes left in your playthrough here. Before we start getting towards the end, where you're really getting to the tough battles, why don't you tell us a little bit about like some of your more familiar memories playing this as a child? Some of the things that made it really special to you over the years.
Like I said earlier, it was my escape. It's not to get all weird or nothing like that, but about the same time when I started playing this pretty heavy, it's probably the time my dad left. So life was weird for me at that time. I found out a whole bunch of things about my life was not what it was. Not that just being an adolescent, going into high school, things were already kind of weird as what. So, get so my fondest memory is just this being my safe place, if you will, much like in any time that I'm sitting down playing a game or whatnot. This was my time to shine, where, like I said, I didn't feel crummy about myself. I felt good about myself playing the game because I was good at it. I had my little rivalry. I had my name up at the top score, usually all the time, or just down the board as it was.
I got to imagine that plays into the nostalgia factor for a lot of 80s kids. Seeing your name at the top of that leaderboard and putting in the 3 characters that represented you, and you knew it represented you, and that meant you were at the top of your game and at the top of everybody else's game apparently, or even working your way up the leaderboard, and just continuing to do a little bit better each time.
When I got that first credit run, when I was I probably made the biggest stink. I think the bowling alley guy even threatened to throw me because I got so excited over it. I was like, I don't even fucking care. I can shoot once, it'll be over at my dad's place anyway. Just dumb shit like that or whatever, But it was really just that exciting because I just never heard of. It's an arcade game. You don't beat an arcade game. It's not a Nintendo game. You can't sit there for a whole night and try to figure it out. You had to pay money to play it. The whole idea of an arcade game was to get you out of there within 3 to 5 minutes and dump another quarter in. I heard about like some of the people who were really good at games. One of my favorite game shows growing up was Starcade. Just watching people play arcade games, get really good arcade. They had 30 seconds to score a high score. I always wanted to be that. And playing this game, I was that fucking kid, I was that fucking guy who was good at something, for a kid who wanted to be a Nintendo counselor, hotline counselor or whatever. I wanted to give everybody the tips and tricks of what was good. So this was my badge saying I was fucking good enough to be, I am a gamer at that.
Well, especially for, how many games, probably all of them is the answer, were designed like that. You know, arcade cabinets where they purposefully made the gameplay a little bit harder. I mean, just in seeing the difference between NES Donkey Kong and arcade Donkey Kong, there's a world of difference in the difficulty level, and obviously they kind of stepped it up to try to make you feed the quarters in, but you know, just how much more does that actually add to that, knowing that you're able to go in there and I mean, not only in your case a one credit run, but you beat the system, you know.
Yeah.
And how many kids could say that actually, you know, going in there and you know, unfortunately we didn't necessarily have all the time or the money to go in there and, you know, feed the quarters in like they wanted us to. They probably would have made a lot more money if we had more to give them, but you know, you got good enough to say, you know, I don't have to do that. I don't have to feed the quarters in one after the other and keep on continuing and trying to beat this game, because you got to the point where you just knew everything that was necessary to get to that point, and then the number of quarters you actually fed in went down and down until it was one.
Yeah. And that was the thing for me. I didn't have a whole lot of money. You know, I didn't have a whole lot. So I knew I could plop a quarter into this machine in 45 minutes. I got to sit there and have a good... I didn't have to be anywhere else other than in front of that machine.
That really beats streaming services that are $10 a month now.
Right.
Yes.
And just to feel that good about it was, yeah, it was everything. And this is, I think, pretty close to where 1-up number 3 is. Yep, right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Booyah.
But as of this moment, you are still deathless in this run, correct?
I am still deathless, and I'm at 1 vitality. This, see, right there, I was a merchant, but he's not. He's like, bullshit. So from here, I've got 1 vitality, knowing that 1 hit's going to kill me.
And you're in your underwear.
Yep, and I'm in my underwear, which is probably about right. I have what? No, I had a key, so I was lucky that was cash. Ninja came up.
Please.
I was able to dodge it.
Please.
This guy's a merchant. Yeah. See, yeah. Yes, yes, merchant.
Got enough to get some.
But I had just enough to get the upgraded weapon and just the 4 armor. 1 vitality and 4 armor. If anything big hits me, it's a 1-hit kill.
Is that armor 2468?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
And from here is when these purple mummies start coming out. Yeah, the rock hit me there, took away 2. The ninjas are quite tough themselves.
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm getting just bombarded. Yeah, and then the ninja just kills me. So right there is where it ended the deathless run. I was so close because I only had this level and then the next. Next time. Now, see, with my score here as well, I don't know where the dungeon is. I've not been to the dungeon in this level.
Have you looked up any guides on this at all?
No.
Purposefully?
Hmm?
You did that on purpose? You haven't actually looked up any guides?
No, I've done that kind of on purpose. I've kind of done everything on my own on this one, so I've just kind of kept it up.
Well, that makes it even more sweet. When you get that 1 credit deathless run, that's going to be like Queen playing "We Are the Champions" in the background.
I'm going to be very happy about that.
It's going to be a red letter day in the Doom house.
Definitely. That, and when we finally 1 credit run freaking Black Dragon. I'm going to be so happy when that happens.
Now, have you looked at any speedrun information on this yet?
I have not. And actually, Gilmax from the CR Game Room was the one that actually looked up the high score for the emulator.
Yeah, I could not. While we were talking there, I was trying to find out information as far as a high score. To my very very brief looking here, the high score looks like 1.7 million currently.
Okay.
1,720,950 more precise. I did actually, thanks to another friend in our community that I know of, speedrun.com, there are submitted speed runs of the game as
Wow.
well. Normal of Black Tiger, done on an arcade emulator, is currently at 9 minutes and 41 seconds as the world record.
I'm looking at
Wow.
Twin Galaxies right now. There's a record for the MAME emulator for a high score of 1.8 million. But I
9
guess
minutes.
it
Crazy.
also depends. Yeah, 9 minutes. That was just like I didn't realize, because I'm not a big gamer, which makes it all the more hilarious to me that I'm hosting a gaming podcast now. That I did not know there was speed runs to Getting Over It by Bennett Foddy, because I was first introduced to that game watching Markiplier play it on YouTube, and his raging over it just is absolutely hilarious. And I'm like, how long did it take Markiplier? And I mean, I even tried the game myself after watching him play it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I've spent 30 minutes on this game and I haven't gotten more than 2 meters in one direction because I'm just so awful at it. And obviously, learning it just like you learn Black Tiger or anybody else learns these games over the time, and figuring things where they are at, and getting your timing down and all that. And I come to find out that Getting Over It has a top speed run of I think it's 2 minutes. And I'm going, there's no way, until I looked it up on YouTube, and I'm watching this guy complete Getting Over It in 2 minutes, and I'm like, wow, that to me that's impossible. The skill level of getting your timing down just right to complete a game like that in 2 minutes, or a game like this in 9 minutes, because you just have learned the game so well and you know where everything is. What do we know what Sath's personal bests are on Castlevania 2 offhand?
I know that he holds the world record for the damageless run. Sorry,
It
give
was
me 1 second. I can find out.
number 13, I think, on the speed run.
And we're of course talking about one of the other streamers we know, Sath Dresh, which you can check him out at twitch.tv/SATHDRESH if you're listening on the podcast. Once again, my channel also is twitch.tv/EBC2021, and we're watching the playthrough of Black Tiger by Angle Doom. His handle is twitch.tv/INGLE_DUEM. And I'll also mention my co-host here, Rob. He is Legion Cage on Twitch, twitch.tv/Legion Cage, spelled LEGIONKAJE. Not to be confused with Legion Kage, or however it was pronounced previously.
Yes. So South currently holds the world, or not holds the world record, 13th in the world at 39 minutes 29 seconds for any percentage glitchless run. Any percentage run he holds at number 10 for 33 minutes and 44 seconds.
Well, and to see him exploit some of those glitches too, that's insane.
Yeah.
So good.
And he doesn't. He obviously doesn't need the glitches either to do it. He is number 8 for a 100% completion glitchless run at 49 minutes 32 seconds.
Wow.
Awesome.
Number 6 for a 100% run and that's the only other ones that they show on here. But yeah, and I know he has a couple other times on his personal sheet that are confirmed records that are not shown on Speedrunner or Speedrun.com.
Hmm. So that's your top goal, Doom. 1.8 million in 9 minutes.
And do. A little bit of practice.
Just a little bit.
But you know what? That gives me a reason to keep on playing them.
Yeah, there you go. So do you ever get sick of playing Black Tiger? Like,
No.
there's just days when you go, nah, I just don't want to play that.
I mean, obviously, I like to play other games and whatnot, but no, if I'm going to sit down and play Black Tiger, I'm going to sit down and play some Black Tiger. I might get a little tilted, and if I start getting that way, maybe it's time to a little back off for a little bit, stop, like, make it more of a chore than it is. It should still always be fun. And that's the thing with me. It always is fun to try to get better, just kind of get that personal best going. So that's what I always look forward to when I play anyhow. And just now trying to get through Black Dragon has just reaffirmed that that's the love for the game as it is. It's almost like it really does just take me back to those times. And even those times, like, I liked playing arcade games the most and going up to my bowling alley. So during the fall, when I knew it was open on a Saturday. So you give me a cold, rainy Saturday morning, the only thing I want to do is play Black Tiger.
If we have any other questions from our live chat, please go ahead and post them here in the next few minutes, because we're going to be wrapping up here in a second. And now, as we're coming almost to the end of the playthrough, we got about looks like 4 more minutes here left in your playthrough. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about the logistics now of getting to the final boss.
Oh, at this point now, it's just like, I know we've already lost one guy, so the deathless run is fine. We're at the end game here. We're at the last hallway. At this point, I'm just trying to get more of a score now. I kind of ditched score for the deathless run, but as soon as I did, I started going more for score. As you can see, as I'm trying to kill everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is literally the last corridor, so I know it's just fraught with just like end game enemies like the ninja, the gargoyle from Ghosts and Goblins. There's spinny coins here that I have to jump around. But there's one key thing that I always know of course, falling right. There's a merchant right before the dragon. As long as I have full vitality and I can get to that merchant, get the 8-piece armor set, everything's gravy. I've already got a minute 32. There's a minute sitting there waiting for me. And I don't know if this is a glitch in my MAME or what, but or if this is something I just never knew before. But the guy will respawn. See how he just respawned right back there? The guy
So
will
you could
respawn
probably hit him again.
Yeah.
If you
In
need
fact,
to.
I have. Yeah, just to take a second to breathe. Yeah, so this is it. This is the last dragon right here. Out of the 3 that you have to take on that have taken control of the kingdom. Yeah, and he is tough as nails. I couldn't imagine how much damage it would take, or how many hits it would take without the end game weapon. It would just darn near be impossible. I mean, it already takes so many hits as it is now. The saving grace is most of the fireballs that he breathes out, like the round ones, I can hit with my my weapon to be able to detonate them from there. The lightning, unfortunately, is a whole different thing where the flares come up. When with him, those colored flares, if I hit them, will either take away my knife ability and or make my controls the opposite.
Yeah. So he's not only is he extremely powerful, he fights dirty. Okay.
Definitely. And there it is. That's the end. That's
All
one
right.
quarter right there. 25 cents well spent.
Certainly got your entertainment's value out of that.
Definitely did. And as a kid, that meant everything right there. That's when I sat back, smoked a cigarette, felt hella cool.
And then go again.
Yep. Pop another quarter in there and do it all over again. I'm still waiting for people to show up.
All right. So that is Angle Doom aka Mike's playthrough of Black Tiger. Once again, he said it was unfortunately not a one credit deathless run, but a one credit one run nonetheless. And yeah, I got to imagine it's going to be coming soon, man. You just keep on plugging away at this. You keep you keep making it your own, and learning the new things that you find out every day about this game, and you never know what's going to be next for it.
Yeah.
That's the exciting part about it. And then, like I said, with the introduction of trying to get through Black Dragon, yeah, this is why it's one of my favorite games. It is my whoopee. As far as video games go, it is my comfort zone.
Well, and as you attempt to continue to learn more, quote unquote, be better at the game.
Oh, by the way,
right?
dedicated to you, by the way.
Yeah,
Love you, buddy.
I said that. I appreciate you. I got to put that. I got to put that score into our community leaderboard.
Yes. But once you hit that deathless run, I mean, all you gotta do is just make sure you timed it, and you've got a world record there, dude. Speedrun.com has nothing for deathless run on Black Tiger.
Oh man!
Like all you got to do is just do it and submit it, and for only minutes, once someone sees, oh hey,
that's fine.
Deathless run, I'm going after it. You are the king. You can take a screenshot of that, and you can be like, I am the king of Black Tiger.
Well, there we go. Then it must be done, and I will do it.
Yeah, tell them to go create a new category for that Deathless Run over there. One credit Deathless Run.
There we go. Yeah, I will definitely do that. If I can achieve that, I will definitely put a bug in the air to do it. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that you could get that submitted. Plus, we were talking about him a little while ago. Southdresh definitely is like a moderator on the Castlevania board. I saw that down at the bottom. The board is like he's one of the people who actually is in control of the board. I'm sure, I know you got it good in with him. You could get that put up there. So
pretty cool. And I would welcome the competition too, because I think that would just be a lot of fun, especially if I was going for score after that. Yeah, let's do this.
All right, so to wrap up on Black Tiger, at least from my experience, which is very limited as a gamer, to me it looks like, as I stated earlier, it kind of stands head and shoulders above some of the other cabinet games at the time that are similar to this kind of gameplay because of those, as one of our live chatters put it, mild RPG tactics and style and simulation there, where you get to choose what you're doing with your money. And, saying, okay, I want to do this at this time, this specific time, to be able to play better, either a weapons upgrade or an armor or health. In addition to some of the other things that you can purchase in the store, where it really adds to how you can kind of personalize the gameplay and the run through on this more towards your liking to suit whatever you think is going to get you further in the game.
Yeah, it's one of the things that really, really just sold it. I mean, I love the whole difference of it all. It's just so unique than anything else. And just the fact that it's just became one of my favorite games. It just, this whole game just means the world.
Well, everybody's got to have a favorite, so this one's yours, and you're awesome at it. You do a great job on these Black Tiger run-throughs, and so that's what's next on your agenda, is getting one of those one credit deathless runs on Black Tiger, and then one credit completion on Black Dragon. That's your next goal,
and then we go for deathless.
All right, and then that 9-minute speed running.
Yeah, I don't know watch videos on that, but I've got to see this. I got to see how this person is doing 9 minutes. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, it doesn't say anything about. It just says beat the game, beat the game hard, and then there's a all wise men category, which I assume is the equivalency of 100%ing the game on here. So unless there are like it does have rules set as far as the speed run goes, but it doesn't say anything about not using, like, being glitchless. Okay, so there is a possibility that there, was a glitch to jump something in there too.
Yeah, he's exploiting some glitches.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch for sure. I'm definitely interested.
yeah. I mean, the game is very, very quick paced, anyways, and obviously you are timed, in each level. So there is a possibility is 100%, glitchless, but that's what we would have to look at to be able to see what he does. And you never know. Same thing like someone pointed out earlier in the chat. When you arrived at the game and someone else is playing it, what did you do? Did you go play something else? Wait, same kind of thing. You're watching. You're getting tips and tricks from that person who's playing. You could come out of watching that 9-minute run and being like, "Oh, I see what they did. I see
Right.
what he's got going on right here," and be able to add it to your own repertoire in there.
Well, that's just like me with watching you play the Batman game. I mean, everything I learned about the Batman game I learned from watching you play, except for the few little tiny minuscule invisible bits and pieces that I learned on my own. I just watched you play a couple of times, and I'm saying, okay, so this is how he does that, and then I go back to my own version of it and say, okay, this is how I learned to do exactly what Doom just did. That's how you do it.
And I think that's a cool thing too, because it means you could be shown how to do something, but to be able to still throw your own interpretation or your way that you'd like to be able to do it, and it works out some way. I think that's the great thing of, they're still getting that same result, but doing it the way you. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to close out. So that was Mike's playthrough of Black Tiger. Let me go ahead and switch over to this now. All right. We're going to close out the podcast first and then close out our live broadcast on Twitch. You have been listening to RCADE, Nostalgia Memories Podcast. Once again, found wherever podcasts are found. Like I said, I know for a fact right now it is on Spotify. We're looking to see how many more podcast platforms we can get on here within a short amount of time. We'll see. It's a learning process, but if you are listening to this podcast, please stop on over to twitch.tv/EBC2021, where we actually do the podcast live, and you can see the video of the playthroughs, like we just watched of Mike playing Black Tiger. And in the meantime, we'll see you next time. Hopefully, about once every 2 weeks. So we're planning. Let me look at my calendar real quick. We're planning here about October 22nd or 23rd to be doing the next episode of RCADE. And like I said, rough plans to do about 14 episodes in the first season through the end of May. And if you have any questions, of course, you can contact me through my Twitch channel. And we will see you next time. So once again, I'm Scotty, and my co-host is Rob, and we were joined by Mike, also known as Angle Doom, here on RCADE Nostalgia Memories Podcast. See you next time. All right, for you folks here that are watching on Twitch, I want to talk to you a little bit about our upcoming events on the EBC channel. Next Sunday, can we raise $10,000 in 3 hours for the National Alliance on Mental Illness? I think we can do it with your help. I believe Cage and his wife, Short and Sweet, are going to be joining us. Is that? Do you have any confirmation on that yet, Rob? if you can make it. And I think Whitney is also joining us, but that's not for sure. It's going to be me and my brother Joel, Star Road Gaming Cafe. We're going to be live on location down at Fort Huntington Park in downtown Cleveland. That also is right across from the Cuyahoga County Justice Center, and there's a police memorial inside the park. It sits almost directly in front of First Energy Stadium when the Cleveland Browns play. We're going to have a beautiful view of the stadium, plus our donation raising board. We're going to get one of those giant thermometer things for the donations and mark it in as we try to get up to $10,000. So you'll have quite a view, at least, of the Brown Stadium there during the broadcast. That begins at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 17th. That's a week from tomorrow. On EBC 2021, we're going to go for 3 hours. The game actually starts at 4. So that's why we chose that slot of 3 hours beforehand to try to catch all the people walking into the stadium. And between them and our viewers here on Twitch, hopefully we can get to our goal there, raising $10,000 for NAMI. And then, coming up on Friday, October 29th, the EBC Halloween special featuring the Queen of Scream, Watch Whitney herself. You're not going to want to miss that. Boy, every time I am going through the stuff that I am lining up for that show, the creep factor just inches up little bit by little bit. You're not going to want to miss it. We've got great stuff for you that night, including the Best Evil Laugh contest. That's right. The Best Evil Laugh contest on Discord, probably here in another week plus. I'm going to be posting where you can enter a recording of yourself doing your Best Evil Laugh. We're going to play them live on stream and then select a winner. And yeah, it's going to be loads of fun. You're not going to survive it. None of us are going to survive it. We're all going to be dead as soon as it is over. So, it's gonna be a fun time. You really want to be there for it. So that wraps it up for us here on the podcast. Thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate you. Like I said, we're going to be here back in about 2 weeks. The time is going to be a little bit variable for the live broadcast between my schedule and Rob's schedule, and then whoever we have as a guest. So just look on my schedule on my Twitch channel. Typically by probably 4 or 5 days out at least, I'm going to have the schedule set for whenever we're going to be doing the next broadcast here live on Twitch. But it will probably be changing. It's almost always going to be on a weekend day, Saturday or Sunday, and approximately every 2 weeks. But that's subject to change based on our schedules to make this work, because we're all in different locations. But once again, I really appreciate you all coming out for that. And we're going to find somebody to raid now here. If anybody wants to use their channel points redemption for who they want us to go raid, now would be the time to do that. And thanks, Mike, for joining us. I know you always get a kick out of this, but you're one of my favorite guests to have on no matter what we're doing. So I really appreciate you joining us here tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having me, man. It's an honor to be here for sure. I definitely appreciate everything, and yeah, it's just an honor to be here. Thank you so much for everything. I do appreciate you very much.
No problem. And of course, my co-host, you lost your hat. What'd you do with your hat, man?
I took it off because I had taken off my headset to turn and ask a question to short and sweet. But there you go. I'll put it back on.
Yeah, I thought there was a part of your head there for a while, and the top of your head was just turning green with envy. Okay, DM North. Yeah, that's who I was going to raid anyway, so. Alright, let's go ahead and set that up.
Heck yeah. And to fit the Halloween vibe, they're playing Zombicide.
Zombicide, alright. Do that. Okay, there we go. Alright, so once again, thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it. I didn't put this in the coming attractions, but public domain movie night this Monday, 7 p.m. I'm actually going to be doing some retro gaming as long as I have time. So, like 4 to 6, I'm going to be doing some Batman. And then 7 to 9 or so, we're going to be doing the Fleischer. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Fleischer. Flesher.
Mm-hmm.
Paramount Superman serials from 1941, I think is. I got to do some more research on that, but we're going to be watching the first 8 episodes. So 4 to 6, as long as I have the time, I'll be doing some Batman, and then 7 to 9, Superman on my channel here. And otherwise, I'll see you later. So thank you all. Adios. Bye bye.